And we are live. Hello and welcome. Mr. N, welcome to the show. First in before we even got going. We are starting the Windows 7 build today, the Windows 7 computer. Was going to wait a little bit, make sure I had a few other things laid out before we started, but be that as it may, for my own personal reasons, I am starting this build now. So, I have parts laid out behind me. We have to do some prep work first. I was going to repaste the graphics cards, but yeah, they're like glued down with like thermal epoxy or something. They do not want to come up. So I'm going to leave them good, but we will open them up and dust them out. Make sure that they are good to go, as well as a few other things. We have to modify the case. We're using the Fractal Focus G. I wanted something somewhat closer to the actual time frame of Windows 7. Most of this stuff is around the mid 2000 teens. Is most of this hardware. I'm trying to do it on stuff that was natively supported Windows 7. So that's why we have that. And I wanted a case that was close to that age period, but I had a few requirements in the case. I wanted a case that both had either a glass or a plexi opening so you could see the internals, as well as bay slots and adequate cooling, adequate flow. I wanted some bay slots because for Windows 7, I need an optical drive. Got to have an optical drive. So, before I do that, let me switch over to the overhead cam here so we can see some of the parts that are laid out here. We'll go over some of those before we jump into the prep work. And let me switch this cam to the behind the scenes cam. There we go. And slide over here. So, at the heart, we have a brand new in-box Athlon X4 880K. This is a 4-core processor running at 4 gigahertz base with a 4.2 boost. Like I said, new in box. You can see on the cam there. The seal is broken, but it is still new, unused. It has the cooler thermal solution accompanying it, but we will not be using the stock thermal solution. We are using an AIO, which should cool better than the stock solution. So we've got the processor here. The motherboard, ASUS ROG Crossblade Ranger. It is, set up for Crossfire mode, since we have two R9 290Xs for graphics cards. Each has, I believe, 4 gigs of GDDR5. I can't remember. I think each one has 4 gigs. So a total of 8 gigs in Crossfire mode. Oh, let's see. Neo Wolf. Hey. Yeah, fancy Legos today. Really fancy Legos. Yes, we are building the computational Lego set for Windows 7, because I like Windows 7. In my opinion, it was one of the best operating, or if not the best operating system put out by Microsoft in the day. Windows 10 has become okay, and supports everything, runs on Windows 10 right now, but I have, Windows 7, which I plan to use, move everything off of my old Windows 7 machine. There's 6 terabytes of games, music, pictures, emulators on there. I need to get them all off of there, categorized on different drives, which is what this new Windows 7 machine is for. This one has been pushed to its limit, and it's on the flaky end. So we also have 4 sticks of 8 gigabyte DDR3 running at 2400 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz. So a total of 32 gigabytes of memory. Should be plenty for Windows 7. We need to do some we need to check some stuff on the motherboard before we start prepping that. Change out the CMOS battery. We're also going to change out the BIOS chip for one that we know is the newest BIOS for this board. So let's get going. What I think we'll start with is just opening up these graphics cards and dusting them out. I have built a motherboard from scratch, you mean? I have never done that. I have thought it would be really fun to design motherboards, especially retro-friendly motherboards. But that opens up a huge can of worms as I thought about the logistics of it and trying how you do it without being too niche. But yeah, it would be fun. I was thinking it would be nice to build like one of my projects that I have going, that I've had going for a long time. I wanted to build since I was in high school is a 486. I have a 486 motherboard and most of the parts. I ordered a case for it. The case arrived broken in shipping, so I have to get a new case still. Let's see, we'll put these away. And we will start with one of these graphics cards. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Had some bad news on Monday, and that's why there was no streams yesterday. It's still reeling a bit from the news. Trying to get back into normalcy, something like that. So that's why we were doing this. This is therapy. Okay, so I don't need to take those off first. First, we have these little guys here, and I need a smaller bit than that. I'll go down to a 0. We'll try a double aught. Yeah, and that's the next, and that'll probably be the next project before I get to the 486 is a Windows XP build, because I need a better Windows XP machine than I currently have. The only machine I have currently that runs XP is my little notebook PC that I bought back in the day. It has cellular capabilities. I bought it through my cellular carrier. So I used to have an unlimited data plan. So I just had internet anywhere I had cell service, much like your phone nowadays. But this was back in the Windows XP days. We'll take this front cover off. And I believe this is all we'll need to do to dust it. And what's funny is that wasn't Amazon that I ordered that case through. It was actually eBay, which I usually have generally good luck with eBay. I've never been burned really bad. A couple of things for this build I ordered, and then on eBay, and then they said, "Oh, we don't have that. We're out of stock." I'm like, "You should take down the listing then." Okay, we need a dusting brush. So we dust out the covers and blow them out with a little compressed air as well. So that's what these guys look like underneath. They have this massive heat sink. I can't tell, doesn't have any heat pipes or anything. It just has a big copper plate it looks like it sits on. Blows it out, blows through there and cools this thing down. Yeah, kind of like that. In fact, I have like, I've lost count of how many computers are in this little office space right here. This is it. It's a gateway. Little notepad. Opens up, runs on an Intel Atom processor. Cam. Fun little notebook computer. That's my only XP machine right now. So I have some motherboards, processors, graphics cards, and some other things to build a fun period correct, which don't have to build XP period correct if you want a good XP machine, but we're going period correct when we build ours. Or fairly period correct, at least for the motherboard and processor. That looks pretty clean already. So we'll put that cover back on. So after we prep the graphics cards, after we make sure these are clean, we will be modifying one of the peripherals. I need to put the optical drive together along with the card reader. Got to have a memory card reader for Windows 7. Yeah, the inside. When I opened this up, I was blown away. It was looking fun, just fun. Oh, ho ho! Look at this. I didn't even notice that. We have a little switch on them. A little switch at the top, and it's in the left, what I would call the left position. I wonder if that's a performance quiet mode type thing, what that is, like on the new cards, why we have a little switch on this Radeon. I might have to look that up, but not right now. I'll dust out the other card, modify. This is probably going to be part 1. I will probably have to break this up into multiple parts, but we'll see. Or I'll just make this a really long stream. Okay, that is one R9 290X done. We didn't have to do much. That was pretty clean inside. I have 3 of these. 2 for this build and 1 for another build if I want to do it. And I opened up the one just to see how involved this was going to be to open these things up. And that's when I discovered, yeah, you can't seem to get the heat sinks off these things. I think they're thermal epoxied on. So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to press my luck and break something. We'll just dust them. And then if we have problems with them cooling or staying cool, maybe we'll look at other options. The control wizard. If you want, I am always the wizard. when I play fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons or anything online. I always tend to gravitate to the wizard. I even had someone once say, "Oh yeah, you know, the guy with the wizard beard." Oh, I missed one. No, I didn't miss that one. It's not there. Why doesn't it want to release? There we go. Yeah, this one's looking pretty clean as well. I don't want to. I'll dust it on cam. I'm bringing it over here so the dust doesn't get everywhere. And then I realized, oh, that's off camera. We want to be able to see this stuff. Yeah. Like I said, and I think I mentioned before, this will be the first time I've built something with two graphics cards. I've never built a machine before with multiple graphics cards. So this should be fun. I have a nice support stand. These things are fairly heavy with all that copper in there. So I have a nice RGB support stand that I had purchased for a different build, a sleeper build actually, that one of my daughters is using. Built in an old beige case. I thought I was going to need a support in that one. It's an old beige case, Pentium 4 era computer case, and then inside is all modern gaming stuff with RGB and whatnot. Anyway, so I bought this support stand for the graphics card for that build, thinking it was going to need it. It didn't. The card was light enough that we used. So I still have this support stand, but has RGB. Now, this motherboard that we're using does not support native RGB. But since it has that feature, we're gonna have to use it on this support. So this thing's getting RGB. I'm not sure. I think copper might be the better thermal conductor than silver, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what silver's thermal properties are, other than I've melted it before using in jewelry classes. But you have to get it pretty hot. The computer's not going to get that hot. Okay, these are done, cleaned out, ready to go in. We will set them aside, and then we will do a little bit of modification to the peripheral for the optical drive. Set these over here. Okay. So what we have is a slim line. Now, normally what I would do, if you can see on the little behind the scenes cam, is put in a full tray optical drive like I have in the monolith. But I only had 2 bay slots, and I wanted to have a hot swap bay for storage as well. So I had to go with combine a couple of peripherals. This is a disc-in Blu-ray optical drive, so it doesn't have the ejecting tray. It does have the automatic slide-in, takes the disc and then spits it out. So we have that, we have to have an adapter for the bay slot. This is not the one I wanted to use. What I wanted to use was the IC dock one, but IC dock doesn't seem to have that available anymore. So this will be getting the optical drive in there like that. We're going to remove this panel to install this card reader. Like I said, because it's a Windows 7 machine, it needs to have a card reader. And you can use, especially so I can program SD cards and stuff like that if I want to. So this will be going in below the optical drive once we remove that panel. So I'm going to grab an X-Acto knife. You notice this very thin plastic right along the bottom edge here. I do not want that to break. So I'm going to make sure we cut things with the X-Acto knife. And I wonder, well, silver's probably, yeah, silver would, I think, be a little more expensive than copper, but maybe not. It's already loose. Okay, good. Okay, having a little more trouble with this than I thought I would. There we go. That one's through. And that one's through. Now we have the metal panel behind that we just have to get out. So you can get that by twisting them. Like so. Okay. We'll go ahead and install the optical first. Now, I believe that came with some screws. Where did I throw that bag of stuff? Okay. Oh, yeah, if they're able to produce it artificially or put it together in a lab, that would make a huge difference in if they're going to, in the use, if they're going to use the decision to use it or not. Now, why? Okay, there we go. That one's stuck. Like, why aren't these being magnetized by the tip? And I can get down in those holes. Okay, all right, the optical drive is installed in the adapter. Now it's time for, and this has got a layer of plastic wrap on it for some reason. I do not want that on there. Maybe it doesn't matter. I guess we'll leave it alone. It's not going to hurt anything. We'll leave that in for now. All right, I need a different bit. Fancy Legos that you need tools to use to assemble. You need to use tools to assemble. So there we go. Optical drive and card reader installed, ready to go. We'll set this to the side now as well. And the last thing we need to do before we begin placing electronics is do a little bit of modification to the case. So I'm going to move things around here a bit just to make room for the case on the bench. I'm running out of space. Okay. And here is the Fractal Focus G. We are going to be putting in an AIO on the front of this machine. I would have liked to have mounted it on the top, but there's not enough room between that, how close it is to the motherboard, how close it is to the drive bays, which we need. So we'll be mounting it on the front, the AIO on the front, which will work because it's frozen Note, which has the pump not on the CPU, but actually in the lines down closer to the radiator. So it won't have to be the highest point in the loop. But in order to get that radiator in here, we have to modify some things. Because of the way they mount, the fans are mounted on the front of this case, we have to drill out the mounting holes so that we can run through bolts all the way through. We don't have to drill them out much, but it is going to make a little bit of a mess. So we want to do that before we get to any of the electronics. Pop the front of the case off there and set that aside. And let's take off the back cover as well. So I did do some little trial fitments and just to see how things are going to line up and work before I started the stream, or off camera. Now we can remove and we're going to be replacing these fans anyway. These are just white LED fans. They shine through the front. We'll remove these and be replacing them with the RGB fans that come with the AIO. Oh yeah, with the screws not magnetizing. I don't know. And then all of a sudden they start working. It's the weirdest thing. Magnets, switchcraft. And magnetic fields. I was out wandering in the magnetic fields the other day. Hopefully I won't make too much of a mess on my mat. Okay. Get these fans out of the way. Come on. Extra fans. You have a bunch of these kicking around. Okay. 8 holes to drill out, as well as remove this plate, which is the bottom bay plate on the front. Needs to be removed. And you just have to work it until the metal fatigues enough to give. And there we go. So if you can see, I don't know if you can see that on cam. We remove that, open up the front, drill out those holes, clean up the mess. We grab our drill. Oh, where's the batteries? Where's the battery for the drill? Let's find the right size drill bit first that we want to use. You drill bit. Yeah, that's the one. Just big enough. Now, I'll be right back when I find a battery for this thing. Okay, we are back. And you know what? We are ready to go. Not quite getting as big as I would like. I might have to go the next size up. Yeah, I'm making a mess. And we need to go to the next size up because I did not drill out the threads and everything as much as I would have liked. No. We got to go next size up. All right, Mr. N. We'll see you when you get back. Thank you guys. Mr. N, Neil Wolf, you guys, thanks for joining me on this stream. I really do appreciate it. It's not doing anything. We need to go bigger. Next size up. And we have to dust off the mat, blow out the case. Now I need to remove the burrs on the back side. So we'll use some little files to do that. Some little needle files, like so. Maybe. You know what we'll do? We're not doing it that way. That's a loser. We're getting the flat file. And trying to shave them down from behind. That works a lot better. This might take a while. Maybe I should have done this prep work off cam. Oh well. I might do is turn it that way. I don't know if they can even see that. Get the ASMR of the filing. Oh, chiseling no. Sawing plastic made out of mica. Okay, back to it. I think that's ground down enough. I'm gonna have to wash my hands after this before I handle any electronics either. Because the last thing you want is steel dust getting in your components. That would be bad. Now, if I had taken this to my shop, I could have ground this down with the pneumatic grinder, but I didn't. Or I should have brought a Dremel home. Oh well. Now I'm working up a sweat. Okay, that's nearly done. Yeah, I'm sweating. Okay, I think that is good enough for getting everything in where we need it to be. I am covered, my hands are covered in metal dust. This case needs to be blown out, and I need to wipe off my mat. So let me blow this thing out over here, off cam, away from everything else. And I will need something to clean this off. Just stepping out back for a second. Okay, I believe that case is now clean. Okay. We have a cleaned out case. Now I just need to wipe down this and we should be good to go. Okay, wiping off that. Yeah, see, we don't want that anywhere near our electronics. And then you're saying, well, why are you using the same space to do case modifications that you're going to use for building the computer? It's because I don't have much space. Shaky Blitz, welcome to the show. Well, I'm glad somebody was enjoying that. It was a lot of work. I gotta cool down just for a second here. All right, that is cleaned off. I think I'm just gonna rinse off my hands, the stuff off my hands, and we will get started on the actual electronics, putting it together. Okay. Next up, the next thing is I believe we should start assembling the motherboard. As I bang it around. I hope I didn't just bend any pins. No, I didn't. Okay, good. Okay. Our motherboard. The ROG Crossblade Ranger. What made me want to build a Windows 7 machine? I do a lot of emulation, old games. A lot of the older games work better on a Windows 7 machine. XP games, a lot of XP games will run on a Windows 7. I also do some offline writing. So I need a word processor that I can work with offline in Windows and Microsoft Office 7, which pairs right with Windows 7. I prefer working with for writing. So there's just my own personal preferences for building a Windows 7 machine. It's great for emulation. I don't need anything as powerful as that would run Windows 10. That I mainly use for streaming and for the newer games, the new AAA games. But since Windows 7 isn't supported anymore on Steam, and by most things, I can understand why, or by Microsoft, it's not supported by Microsoft right now. So it's just a personal preference of I thought Windows 7 was an excellent operating system, especially when Windows 8, we won't mention that or talk any more about that. And Windows 10, when it first hit, was so intrusive, still is very intrusive, and would update all the time. You had to go in and tell it stop updating automatically because you'd be in the middle of working and all of a sudden it'd say shutting down for updates, which would drive me nuts. Okay. So those are some of the reasons for a Windows 7 build. Okay, making sure we are going in the right location, that we have pin 1 located. Yep, pin 1 goes right there. The other reason is, my Windows 7 machine that I have been using was the first real gaming machine I bought, and I really enjoyed it. It was the first AMD. Not, I've had other processors by AMD, but they were, like my 286 is an AMD processor. But this was my first real experience with an Athlon setup, and I really enjoyed it over the old Intel ones that I was having. So I wanted to build on the FM2 socket. I originally thought about upgrading this one as much as I could, and I pretty much have. I could put in a faster processor, but it's already running unstable, so I wanted to build a new machine. And I just like building machines, and I reasoned that building an older machine would be less expensive. It's not. It's not less expensive, especially if you're trying to build top of the line, upper end. So here we go, Corsair Vengence Pro, 2400 megahertz, 32 gigs, 4 sticks of 8 gigabytes each. Oh, that's interesting. Our Corsair Vengence stamping on the top is reversed on some of these. That one stick is backwards from the rest. I have other sticks. I might change that one out, just because. Don't fall out. This one, which one of these is not like the others? There we go. That one will work. Yes, probably shouldn't mix match sets, but I think that's how these came anyway. There we go. Put these back in their ESD bag. You miss Windows 8? The Windows 8, for those who don't know, was a touch screen that featured more touch screen interface. Yes, that's why I don't know if I'll ever upgrade to Windows 11. I might go back to a Linux machine. I had turned this one into a Linux machine at one point, and then turned it to Windows 7. But I might go Linux in the future. There's a reason why I don't go Apple. Well, I won't buy a Mac, and Microsoft is quickly becoming that, quickly becoming that sort of a business that I don't want to give my money to. Okay, RAM's installed. CPU is in the socket. Oh, we still have to put the case standoffs in. So I better do that real quick. We'll set this back to the side. Now, with the motherboard basically ready to go into the case, we need to make sure everything else that we need to put in the case before the motherboard is good to go. So we need to get in all our standoffs. We need to put in our case fans and the AIO. Yeah, and that's the hardest part with Linux, is doing stuff that is supported by Linux. And especially gaming, a lot more games are now Linux compatible, but that's always been the hard one for gaming, is compatibility issues. And that's probably that's why I went from Linux to back to Windows 7, was for that same reason, the compatibility. But Linux is getting there. More and more people are switching to Linux because they're getting frustrated with Microsoft. Where did I put my screwdrivers? There it is. All right. Oh, don't do that. That's not staying in there magnetically. A lot of cases come with the ATX standoffs pre-installed. This one did not. It came with none of the standoffs except for the center pin, so that you could put whatever you could set it up for without whatever motherboard without having to remove standoffs, which is kind of nice. Yeah, it would be nice to have another option in the OS category. I'm waiting. I think it's going to happen. I think Linux is going to be much more mainstream in the future coming up. Not just for power users and developers. All right, we'll install the top fans, then we'll look at putting in the motherboard, and then the AIO, and then hooking up some components. Yeah, put in the fans first. Oh, and there was one other peripheral that needed to be prepped before going in, but we'll do this first. RGB, because it makes the computer go faster and be more reliable. And if you believe that, I have a bridge I'd like to sell you. Okay, best way to go in. Let's go this direction. Fan screws. Now, let's just change out our tip on my screwdriver. Oh yeah, that's what, you know, I haven't experienced it because I haven't played that much on Linux when I set up that Linux machine. But that's what I've heard. There's a lot of games will run so much better on Linux than they will with the bloat of Windows. Yes, I agree. I do agree with that. That I'm sacrificing. I'm making sure I got the RGB in here so I don't sacrifice my frame rates. Makes it go faster. No, I wish this case. I don't know. This case isn't quite as nice as I thought it would be, as I was hoping it would be. What it looked like as far as build, there's just it's a little more cramped. But and one of the things I wish I like that it has a clear panel, but I wish it was tempered glass rather than plastic. And one of the big reasons I'm doing RGB in this one is I want the components to be visible, and I want them illuminated so that you can really see them. So I put the RGB in. Oh, that didn't turn out good. We're replacing that screw. Put in the upper exhaust fans, put in the rear exhaust fan before we drop the motherboard in. So, funny story. Actually, no, never mind. We'll get some in here. Did I miss? I missed. How did I miss? Okay, top fans are in. Now we need the rear exhaust fan. Let's go this way with that. Now the magnet doesn't want to work. Come on.
True. Yeah. Maybe, yeah. I'll stay till 6. Like, I'll stay till 6 and he'll take it, then I'll pass.
And then we got to put the I/O shield in before we set the motherboard. Probably should have stuck the I/O shield in now before I put this fan in, but oh well. I don't think I've got the right tip. Common problem with Philips, I see, as a technician, is people grabbing the wrong size Philips. They grab one that's usually too small, sometimes too big, but it's trying to find the right size. And then that's why you get a lot of slipping and gouging and chewing, stripping of the screws. I'm using the wrong size bit or the wrong size screwdriver. All right. Now we want to move these fan wires out of the way. Set that and untie this. Okay, I/O shield. Brand new I/O shield. It's amazing you can still get a lot of the stuff new. Republic of Gamers. Popping in the I/O. Maybe. There we go, that's in. Yeah. All right. Okay. Setting the motherboard. Thanks, Mr. N. Yep, I'm not sure why my chat isn't updating on my phone. So I'm just going back. Yeah, my chat's not updating on my phone. So I don't know what, I'm missing the chat. Yes, this is standard ATX. You guys are talking about your build. Spyro TD, welcome to the show. Okay, here we go. This way. In there like that. find all my screws. Three, four, I don't seem to have enough motherboard screws of either type. 7. 8. Okay, I have enough to do this one. These are the motherboard screws. I'm getting shaky. Must mean I need to eat. Why doesn't this want to? Wrong size bit. Why aren't you going in? Little screw. Take everything loose. Not undone, but just loose so things can move around a little bit. Get everything started before you tighten everything down. So I'm sorry guys, I can't see chat because it's not updating on my phone. Let me see if I can get it to go. Oh, there we go. Four corners is really, yeah, that's all that's necessary, but it's the OCD in me. If there's a thing there, I have to put a screw in it. So we are going for overkill. There's no kill like overkill. Oh. The specs, Abdul, are, this is for the processor, we are using an Athlon X4 880K, the unlocked 4-core processor running at 4 gigahertz with a 4.2 gigahertz boost clock. The motherboard is an ASUS ROG Crossblade Ranger. For memory, we have 32 gigabytes of Corsair Vengence Pro running at 2400 megahertz. And for graphics cards, we will have 2 set up in Crossfire, 2 Radeon R9 290Xs. So everything should be able to be overclocked. And for cooling, we are using a Thermalright frozen Notte 240. And so everything should be okay. I think we can go ahead and stick in the AIO. Or see about mounting the AIO. Set some stuff off to the side here. Parts everywhere. The frozen Note. And like I said, because the RGB, the frozen Note, this one is the RGB, we went with the full RGB stuff. So that's, you gotta illuminate the case so you can see the components. Okay. Slide this over a little bit. Make some space over here. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room. Let's move this. The Thermalright Frozen Note. Now this is interesting because it doesn't use the ASUS pump system with the pump on the CPU plate on the water block. The pump is actually here in line with the in the lines, so you can put this theoretically with the pump with the CPU block higher than the radiator, because the pump would still be not the highest point, would not be the highest point in the system, which is what we are going to do, because I cannot get it to fit up on the top without major modification to the case, and I don't want to do that. And I'd lose my bays. I don't want to lose my bays. My bay. Yeah, and that's the problem. I can't get it in the top. This case, I could change cases, but then trying to find one with the bays. And in any case, this should be overkill for this processor. I mean, this cooler is designed to cool, what does it say on there? It's ready for the new ice, the 1700 Intel stuff. So the 1700 socket support, ready for the Ryzen 7000s. It shouldn't have any problem cooling this 880. So I don't expect to have too much problems with thermals. It is a bit of a compromise. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Dropping this down in here. Getting a case fan. I might have to grab some longer screws. This gives me too much fits. But I think I've got it. go. I might have to stand this up, get a better look at what I'm doing here, now that I've got a couple of screws in it. So I have to go with the way the fans mount on the front of this case. They don't mount with your standard fan mount screws. They mount with these long screws that go through the fan and bolt into the case itself, and don't screw in with a big plastic thread like your traditional fan screw. So that's why I had to modify this case to get the radiator, be able to mount the radiator and the fan in there. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, TDP is really what matters, and making sure that your thermal solution is adequate for the TDP of the processor. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I knew that it was well past the thermal capacity for the cooler was well past what the processor needed. So shouldn't be a problem. The only thing I probably won't be able to do today is install Windows. I'll have to wait. I'm waiting for my product key, which I purchased, to arrive. Okay, fans are in. Just have to route these wires. And of course, I expect that there will be plenty of people being like, why the hell did you do that? Because I wanted to. Okay, pull those in so I can set this back down. And we can mount, and we can put the cooler on the CPU. Now I need my We'll be putting it on with some Duronaut from Der Bauer, from Thermal Grizzly. All right, where's my spatula? Where's my spatula? It's in the other one. It's in with the Crown-Knot. Duronaut. Where's my spatula? There they are. All right. Let's make a mess. And we're going to go with the modern theory on frosting the cake. Applying thermal paste. Come on. There it is. Okay, first time using Duronaut. I've been using Cryonaut with the new Duronaut. I've decided to use that, and this is a little bit interesting more to try and spread. I'm making a mess. Good thing this is non-conductive. Okay. Now we'll spread it with the spatula. As soon as I find a good place to put this down. I probably have a lot more on there than I need. But that's okay. It would be interesting to run some benchmarks. I'm just thinking to myself as I'm doing this that I never run benchmarks on anything to see how it's performing as much. Partially because I just don't care. It's fun to watch these other people benchmark stuff and see how fast things run comparatively, but I feel like so much of that you're squeezing down to the such minuscule levels, like racing when you're, yeah, you beat him out, but you did it by a 1/10 of a second or a 100th of a second. So really you're basically just as fast as each other. And for all practical applications, most of us aren't on a drag strip. We're on the street. So, okay. I think that's pretty good. I might call that good. It'll spread out as the pressure is applied from the cooler. It'll spread out more. And we've got pretty good coverage. Yeah, I'm going to call that pretty good. Good enough. It'll keep it cool. I need a paper towel. Hold on. Okay. Set this stuff to the side. We need the AMD bracket. And one of the reasons I went with the frozen Note as an AIO, because trying to find coolers that fit the FM2 Plus socket can be a little interesting. Oh wow, for over 25 years. That's how long I've been a mechanic. But how long I was a mechanic. I'm not a mechanic anymore. Oh yeah, just install it and register it later. Yeah, I can activate it later. I might do that. I might do that, depending on how long this goes. If how long have we been streaming? Hour and 40 minutes roughly. I might do that just to get it installed and not have to worry about it. Okay. Now, the best way to do this, I think, is going to be to route it this way. Up and over, as long as we're not getting too close to the fans with our lines. Come on, there we go. Now I just have to tighten it down. Those are hitting the fans a little bit. We'll have to move them out. Okay. That gets that. This is the RGB for the pump. RGB makes it go faster. And this is the pump line. Pump will go into the CPU fan and the fans into the option, I believe. No. Yes. I'll double check. Since this motherboard doesn't have an AIO header, we have to run it off the CPU fan and the CPU option. And they always want you to do it. Where is it? Yeah. The water pump, the pump to the CPU option, the fans to the CPU fans. That's how we do it. Okay, cable management. Oh, fun. Fun, fun, fun. We can start hooking up cables now. I know you guys can't see this very well. Let's see. Best way to route these things would be to go out here and come up through here. This is the pump. Scroll here on the CPU option. Boy, okay. Trying to figure out the best way to have these things in here. We'll see. I may have to pull this computer all apart later and rebuild and restructure some stuff, but we'll go with what we've got for now. Okay, let's hook up the case headers here. HD audio. There's our audio. There's our audio. Its audio cable could be a little longer. USB 3.0. Front panel header now. Okay. Reset switch. Okay. Hard drive LED. It's fine. Let's plug in the power LEDs now. My head's right in the way. I apologize. You guys can't see. I can't see. I need more light. Aziz, light. Okay, that's done a power switch. Power switch is right there. And last but not least, the reset switch. And there we go. Front panel is connected. Pull those wires back out through here so we can do some wire cable management. Fans. Next up is the fans. I'm tempted to take this lower drive bay out. I'm not going to be using these drive bays. I'm tempted to take that out and mount a fan on the bottom with the PSU to pull in just a little more air. I want this to be a positive pressure case. Yeah, and the dogs don't like that idea. Hey. I think I will. You've got, Byro, you've got a lot more experience building computers than I have. Sweet, thank you for that, for putting that up there. Let me see, are we still, is my chat still up to date? Yes, chat is updating. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to remove that cage. All right, drive cage is removed. All right, let's start hooking up some of these fans. Daisy, well, let's put this last fan in. Put this bottom fan in. Okay, where that needs to go. Yeah, well, with only 2 intakes and 3 exhausts, we want to put in 1 more intake fan. And I hopefully should still have enough room for the PSU. Okay. That gives us all our fans. Now we just need to hook them all up. RGB will take out this way. Yeah, you guys can't see anything. I'll put stuff down. Oh, great. Drop something in there and I can't leave that in there. Or maybe, let's see, we've been streaming for about 2 hours, I think now. Yeah, almost 2 hours. We might have to take a little break and come back to this. Drop that twist tie down in here. Get that out. Okay. Put this cover back on. Boy, that audio cable sure is short. Let's try some other. Let's try a different routing for that. Let's try routing that differently. That's much better. That's much better. Okay. We should have a USB header too. There it is. There's the USB header. Okay. All right, doing the fans, getting the fans set up. Oh, what a mess of wires. Our exhaust. We want to do the intake fans first. Ghost Squad. Hey, welcome. Welcome to the show as we build this Windows 7 machine. Let's see, okay, tie these together. We'll daisy chain these two. This is how I want to go this way. The CPU cooler and fans are hooked up. Startup boys, welcome to the show. We are a small channel here, building a computer. I would love to do more videos of computer builds, but you know, how many computers do you need? How many can you afford to build? Most of my content is video games and Lego builds, but we do some fun stuff around here too, some computer builds. And this one I'm doing as some therapy for myself. I deserve to build a computer today. Those. I need to connect the exhaust fans. We're going to daisy chain those together. That one and this one. And this will come through and connect to case fan 3. And then this lower fan. Come up through here. Case fan 2. Oh, it's a mess on the back. Mess of wires. A whole mess of wires. And we can start doing some cable management here, zip tying some stuff. But before I go too much farther, we might need to put in some of the peripherals. So we have our optical drive that we need to install. We have our hot swap bay that we need to install. And I'm going to change out the fans on the hot swap. That's the other prep work I forgot to do. Because I've heard that the fans on this particular one that come on stock are a little noisy and give out after a while. So we'll be replacing them with some fans from Arctic, which should be quiet. From my experience with them, they'll be very quiet and they'll do the job great. Connecting RGB. Oh, there we go. Oh, wait, some of that. Let's see. We want to get in our peripherals so we can wire those up as well. We get a whole mess of wires everywhere. Unfortunately, this case also doesn't have a whole lot of room for cable management. That's okay. It'd be nice to have this on the Lazy Susan. My specs. The specs on this. Okay, so this is a Windows 7 machine, so it's a little old. Most of the components are from the mid-2010s. We have for the processor, we are running a AMD Athlon X4 880K. That runs, it's a 4-core processor running at 4 gigahertz. It boosts to 4.2. The motherboard is an ASUS ROG Crossblade Ranger. That is the Ranger setup for the AMD back then. We have 2 graphics cards, Radeon R9 290Xs. This is a Team Red build that will be set up in Crossfire with 32 gigs of DDR3 memory running at oh boy, this isn't going to fit. Fans are in the way. I might have to move that one fan. I'm hitting the fan right there. This corner is hitting this fan. I can cut that out. I can't do that here. I don't have the tools here. I'd have to postpone the rest of this build to finish it later. It doesn't need much. Doesn't need much. Isn't that interesting? I wonder, I don't think I can swap it out and put the hot swap bay on top. But let's see. Not quite a sleeper build, but a retro build. Like I said, most of this stuff, most of this hardware is from the mid-2010s, 2015 or around there. But it's not going to be a sleeper as much as, boy, that almost fits right there. That does fit right there with the normal fans that are on there. Do I put the hot swap bay on top? And on this one on the bottom. This case you can still get new, so I don't know if I could consider that a sleeper. You know what? For now, this is what I think we're going to do. I think, maybe. It does put those really close. The SATA ports. Oh boy. Tight, tight, tight. Now this is the hot swap bay from IC Dock. I might have to modify this piece. in order to fit. I'm going to grab a Sharpie to make some marks. So that's where it needs to go in. We need to come at least there. At least. And let's put it back in the top bay and see, check our fitting. Okay. I need to take off about like that, about that much of the corner. It could go as could take out that, and then this thing would fit. Which means I'd need to take out the components out of this piece to cut that. So we may be at a stopping point on the build today. Motherboard is an ATX motherboard. And this is getting RGB. It's going to light up everything inside. I want to be able to see the components through the glass. And when everything's dark, it's a little hard to see. So I'm going to be putting in. So I'm putting in the RGB to light it up in here. I'll probably switch it just to a single color, probably red, because this is a red and black build. But yeah, that is okay. That won't fit with the fans in there. And I could move that fan over one. I could move it over one hole. At least then it might still be able to be put back in. You know, let's check that. I'm gonna take this fan out, take it loose, and see if we can't slide it over one. And if it'll bolt in. If it does, we can continue on with the build. If it doesn't, no, we can't. There's stuff in the way. Okay, so we are at a stopping point today. I think this is as far as we're going to get. The motherboard is in. The CPU is hooked up. The RAM is installed. Fans are in. Peripherals won't fit. And we have a lot of cable management to do. Well, let's see if there's anything else. We could pop the PSU in. Oh shoot. I got ahead of myself. I forgot to do some other stuff too. We wanted to pop the CMOS battery out, replace it with a new one. As well as change the BIOS chip. So let's do that. Let's do that real quick. Now that the motherboard's in the case, I don't have a chip puller. Not needed. There's the BIOS. And I'll get a new one. Assuming we can get this open, I might need some scissors. Two chips. Because I have two motherboards. There's one. Always check the orientation, so pin 1 is going in the right place. Trying to do this in the dark without a whole lot of light. I might have to grab a flashlight just so I can see a little bit better. There we go. Didn't need a flashlight. No, the max this motherboard can take is 64 gigs. But 64 gigs of DDR3, especially at higher speeds, and these are 2400 megahertz, gets really expensive. Like the price doubles or triples when you step up to the trying to find these in 16 bits modules. These are just 8 gig. 16 gig modules. These are 8 gig modules, 4 of them for 32 gigs of RAM. Diamond, welcome to the show. Well, glad you could be here. Yeah, we're getting a lot of play on this video. A lot of people showing up. It's always fun. So, boy, stuck. At least with the peripherals. Could still mess with some of the cable management, install the PSU, but we're kind of stuck with some of the wiring until I can modify this piece. Yeah, I think we're about stuck. We might have to call this the stream for the day. I got pretty far along. Not too bad. Progress today. I can throw the front cover back on this case. So remove the bay. Remove the bay slots here, the bay covers for the bay, the 5 1/4 bays. Yeah, I probably could have tried to find a better case, but this thought it met all my requirements, and it meets them, but there's some compromise, a little bit of compromise. yeah, I just really want to see get these installed and see how they look, but I always I always do the graphics cards last after everything else is in and wired and cleaned up. Well, psilocybin. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Some of that might be help this build, but I'm switching back over to the main cam. I'm switching this cam over to the main cam. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep this on the overhead. Well, let's go back. That's not that. I want to switch this cam. Produced on the fly by yours truly. One-man operation. And now we go back to the main cam. There we are. Wow. A lot in chat today. A lot in chat. Thank you guys for joining me, being there with me, body doubling with me as we build this computer. I really appreciate it. Remember, if you like this kind of content, if you like this build, if you like building computers, hit that thumbs up button, and consider subscribing if you haven't. We do what we want on this channel. We're not going to force you to do anything, but if you feel so inclined, go ahead and follow. An RX 480, 8 gig. Oh yeah. You got a 3060 with 12. That's much better. A 3060 would be perfect for, especially with 12 gigs. You should be able to game on that all day long. I will be live again. All my shows are live. This is episode 153. This will be the last show probably for the week. I start my work week and I do not exist when I'm working. So look forward to the next show being beginning of next week. I try to stream Mondays and Tuesdays and every other Wednesday as my schedule allows. Like I said, yesterday they just got hit with some bad news and I couldn't stream yesterday. This is therapy, building this computer, doing something fun. I try to keep it chill. I try to keep it chill. No point in getting too stressed and too worked up or being too high energy. All right, Mr. N, thanks for joining us. Oh, how many SATAs I'm going to have on this? Well, it has 8 SATA ports. I plan to use all of them. I will have the first one for the hard drive, for the main drive, 2 terabyte Crucial BX500 is what I'm using. Then I plan, and as well as one optical drive, a Blu-ray optical drive, and then I'll be putting in a 6-bay hot swap bay, so that I can swap out drives. Any of the extra 6 drives, I'll be able to swap them out. Because what I plan to do, this machine, which has been traditionally my Windows 7 machine, has 6 terabytes of games, videos, pictures, music, mostly games, as well as some emulators. I plan to separate those all out, organize them into drives that I can pop in and out of different computers as I want to use them. Because one of the biggest things I love playing is classic Doom on GZ Doom with mods, modded Doom. I play that on the Windows 7 machine. I want to be able to play it on the Monolith, my Windows 10 machine. So what I'm put everything on a drive and just swap the drive between computers is the plan. We'll see how all that works out. I'm okay. I'll be okay. I appreciate it, Diamond. Yeah. Sometimes there's no way out but through. So we're going through it right now. But that's okay. That's life. So, I could. And that's one of the benefits of this. I have enough stuff to build a second computer like this with only one graphics card, and I'll probably air cool it instead of AIO. But that was one I was thinking I could either put Windows 7 or Windows 10 on. I mean, it'll run Windows 10. It won't be the fastest or the best, but it would run Windows 10. And we're not going to talk about Windows 11. Oh, a couple of the computers I've built have got Windows 11 on it, just because they were the customer. I'm not dealing with customers anymore. The person I built them for was already using Windows 11, so we just upgraded. We installed Windows 10 and then just did the upgrade to Windows 11. I don't have the I didn't make installation media for Windows 11 yet. Wow, almost 2.5 hour stream. Not too bad. Well, I appreciate everyone being here. I need to get something to eat and take a little bit of a break. So we will end this stream and episode 153 here on, I forgot to timestamp this in the morning, this when I started. This is July 30th, 2025, and episode 153. B75 on their head. Oh, nice, nice. That would be a really good gaming machine for Windows 7. Really good. Windows 11 on a B75 motherboard though, and 16 gigs. Yeah, and DDR3. How does that run? Yeah. Yeah. No. Appreciate it, Diamond. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be signing off until next week. So until that time, I am Archimedes signing off.